Katy Perry, my dumbest and smartest career move. So 2005, my girlfriend and I are out for dinner, and we decided to go for a drink afterward at a place with the most notoriously difficult door in town. And as we're walking up to the person at the front of house, there's a girl standing on the sidewalk, and she's like, excuse me. And she said, do you guys know how to get into this place? And I don't know, we were feeling a little drunk and festive, and we said, yeah, come on, and she's with us. And it was Katy Perry, and Katy was wearing a bright green dress with white polka dots and like a fake fur brown coat and like white rimmed sunglasses and white high heels. And I was like, this person's either really cool or a total nut. So she joined us for drinks, and I thought she was nice, and I told her I used to work in the music business, and she's a singer, and she asked if I would listen to her demo, and here's a picture of it. And I believed in her, and we became fast friends and running buddies, and I would come sometimes video some of her shows at coffee houses and little places like the Hotel Cafe, which you can see some of the videos we did from 2006 on my YouTube channel. So after about a year of assisting another photographer, I finally booked my first job, and it was a beauty campaign for Too Faced Cosmetics. They wanted to grow the brand up and decided to do a photo shoot. So they said, we've never done one of these before. What's the first step? And I said, well, we need to do casting. So I set up a casting studio, and I was going to do 2 days, and my pitch was two-faced, one good girl, one bad girl, one blonde girl, one brunette girl, kind of like James Bond or Gilligan's Island or whatever. So we have day one of casting, blondes, and I saw about 100 girls that day, and the fourth one to walk in the door was definitely the one, no problem. So the second day I'm seeing brunettes, and I'm seeing about the same number, about 100 people. I did not see one girl that really spoke to me. So I called the client, and I said, can we book girls out of New York? And they said, you're out of your mind. We cannot book girls out of New York. We do not have the money for this. So I said, all right, let me think about it. So I called the CEO at night, and I said, you know what, I have an idea. I've got this girl who would be perfect to play our brunette. And he said, oh, what agency is she with? I said, she's not tall enough to be a model. She's not thin enough to be a model, but I think she's going places. And he said, what does she do? Is she an actress? I said, no, she's a singer. He said, oh, cool. What label is she signed to? I said, she doesn't have a record deal. And he said, Scott, are you out of your mind? Are you really going to put your balls on the chopping block for an unsigned nobody singer? And I said, absolutely. And they said, what's her name? And I said, Katy Perry. And he said, I never heard of her. I said, you will. And he said, listen, Scott, I'll take a meeting with her, but if we don't like her, we're picking someone from the tape. And so I call her up, and I'm like, hey, Perry. And she's like, hey, Nathan. We always called each other by our last names. I said, I'm picking you up at 11 a.m. tomorrow. And she said, I can't. I've been stalking Glenn Ballard, the songwriter, producer, for ages, and I'm writing with him finally tomorrow. And I said, really, Katie, how much money do you have right now? And she said, like, none. I said, listen, I have a photo shoot. It pays $7,500 for the day. And she said, what do I have to do? I said, charm 2 gay guys in a room. She goes, that's my jam. I said, I know. So she rescheduled it with Glenn. I picked her up. We drove down to Newport Beach. We listened to some of her demos, took a spin through her MySpace page. Yeah, that long ago. And booked it. And the shoot was really fun. And the CEO was like very flamboyantly gay with like a full face of makeup and like diamond rings on every finger. So he's trying to help direct Katy. So she's on this bed, and CEO says, okay, Katy, so I just want you to relax, and I want you to do whatever you would do if you were just home alone. And Katy thrusts her hips up in the air on the bed and shoves one hand into her knickers and then gives me a wink. And the CEO went screeching away, like screaming. And, we got lucky. Katy became a big star. It made that brand look really good. And from that, I got Sephora and Ulta and Urban Decay and all these other beauty brands. And I never sought out to become a beauty photographer. I was a rock and roll guy. I come from music, and I wanted to shoot musicians. But, as the saying goes, you chop down one tree and everyone thinks you're a lumberjack. So that happened.